Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, where we are listening to Talking Heads' album Speaking in Tongues, which was released on this day in the year 1983. And yeah, I'd just like to make a bit of progress, really. So, we've basically finished the database manipulation stuff, so we're currently reorganizing projects, inserting projects, deleting projects, and we're also currently fixing up the indices in the assets block that are indexing into the projects block. We've done that, and we're now moving on to just making sure that the other sort of stuff is updated. And one of the things that can change in the configuration is this base directory. That is basically telling the thing where it's supposed to output the stuff to, basically. It's like where it puts these files. For example, this file here. And they're all having a problem locating it. I presume it's just this. Is that what it is? Nope. Okay, this is okay now. So this is on test. This is on testing. Right, I see. That's probably... No, that's not okay. Yeah, also, we've changed the player location, haven't we? So if I'm not mistaken, the player location we append to the lineage. If I just could do cool... Is that right? Yeah, that's where you want it. Okay, so these kinds of things can change. The base directory and the player location can change. And all we're doing now is fixing them up so that they actually... that correctly sort of propagates. Like when you change that configuration between runs, between runs, when you do a new run, we're just making sure that all that stuff is getting fixed up correctly. And yesterday, or the day before, we did get it kind of working, but one thing that wasn't working was deleting of these directories. I think, is this the new stuff or is this the old? This is the new stuff. I think it's testing, isn't it? Yeah, so you can see that there's all these empty directories just sitting around, and the reason for that is that we were basically going through the projects from like the parents first. So we're processing the parent, kind of reorganizing, I guess, well, moving them from wherever they were into, so they would, this whole thing, this whole test thing would have previously actually resided under testing, right? And effectively what we were doing was we were going through the parents first. We go through bitwise, moving that person over into the test, and then having done that, I think we descend into its children. Now what that means is part of this process is the deletion of this directory. Because we processed this before having processed one of its children, this directory couldn't be deleted, right? Because it still contains stuff. So basically, I think all we need to do is, clearly what we need to do is to process the children first. And in order to process the children first, I think all you need to do, there's this loop here. I think all you do is simply just do this loop first. So you come into sync projects, and you just descend, and then you're away. I think that might just be it. Because this thing gets called, sync projects get called. This is main in here. So main is going to get the config is if it gets a config, it comes into here, and then it loops over the configured projects and does the sync project on them. And then what I'm proposing is sync project itself, before doing its actual stuff, it descends, right? So it just keeps on going down. Sort of doing all this stuff, right? So let's just see if that's true. Where are we on? So we're on base directories test. So yeah, we're actually halfway through, aren't we? If I change that to testing, I think this would be the way to do it. Change this to testing. We can leave that player location as it is. That's no problem. And let's just see. I think what we should hopefully see is that this test directory actually manages to get deleted. Although I'm not sure if I delete the actual base directory yet. That's something else I need to do. But I think these guys might hopefully get deleted, unless it just crashes and it doesn't like it. So that's exactly what you need to do, isn't it? And then having done that, let's just make it delete the base directory. So where does that happen? Delete stale thingamajigs, isn't it? No, it's not stale, it's delete delete projects. It's not this, it's I mean, it's kind of this, isn't it? It's kind of delete search page. Delete HTML files project and children. Who calls this? Delete project into, it's not that. Where is the function that we were talking about the other day? Wait. What is it? Sync projects, isn't it? Where's that loop? Sync project is right here, right? Right, so it's got to be in sync project, which is what we're talking about. Init neighborhood. It's sync DB with import. This is what we're talking about. Right, here we go. So this thing is updating the title, and then after this, wasn't it? Yeah, delete dead DB entries. That's the function. Additionally, remove the base directory if it changed. Yeah, that's exactly what we need to be doing. So if there's a new player location or there's a new search location, we do this stuff. Where's the base directory being used? Isn't there a base to somewhere? So there's a new project header there. The current project base to the end project. So I think we probably need to save off that base directory in either case. Right, because this thing is going to come in. Actually, I haven't said that. We don't actually modify the end project. So we could just use that still. Couldn't we? So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, all you do is, if in either case, you say if the end project based oh, mind you, actually, yeah, we're doing it right here. So I guess just before doing this, yeah, just before doing this, compare that with this, and if it differs, then delete that thing. It's also worth bearing in mind, I think this is a, we need to wrap zero this. Because this thing is sized. I think that's right. I mean, I suppose also, for that matter, you only actually need to bother to copy that thing in if it differs anyway. And I suppose, I mean, before it didn't matter, but now that we're actually doing the test, we might as well just use this test to actually make sure that we only do that then. Well, it doesn't matter, because if it doesn't change, it doesn't make a difference. And we don't need to care about the base URL being different, I don't think. So testing didn't get deleted. Is that what we'd expect? Is there a remove down here? There's a delete entry there. Oh right, yeah, the end project based. Well, no, because so the end project based is the same for. Sorry, it's different for each project. Oh, that's the point. We've got a remove directory. Why are we using remove this? Extend string. If there's a new thing or thing. If they differ. Do we want to do that? And then update that and then write that into the file. Let's just step into it. We need to change this back so it's actually going to be different. Basically, what should we be expecting here is it will delete the project. What were I expecting? Oh, actually. Oh, beg your pardon. I think it might actually be okay. Because the base directory is actually not. You actually don't know what this is. That's unfortunate. So it seems like we can't actually delete this final dude because we don't have that information. Right. The base directory I've set is home temp Cinera test testing dollar lineage, and this dollar lineage just expands to be the it's the project's lineage essentially. So for example, it would be here. It would the lineage for I'll just write it out. The lineage for the Ray project will be hero Ray. That's all that will be, because it's taking the idea of this project, and then it kind of goes down and inserts a / and then Ray. So yeah, I guess might as well back that out. Yeah, there's just no way to get rid. You know, because if for a given project, the base directory is just set to be that whole thing, I mean, that's the only information that we've got, and we can't really. I don't think we should get in the business of sort of ascending and seeing if a directory is empty and then deleting that, because we just don't know if that's appropriate for us to do. So I'm going to suggest that we don't do that. Which means that a user's just going to end up with this, and they're just going to have to suck it up, basically. And since they have actually written that thing in their own config, you know, it's something that they ought to really be aware of, that this thing is going to have to exist. But let's now see if this still works. We have got those unable to find whatever. Unable to scan project directory. And this no such file directory. We've got a bunch of these. What's that unable to scan? Unable to remove directory. So that thinks it's that. Yeah, I might want to sort of think about dealing with that, maybe. But now testing should be empty, yeah, and test, no, this just all looks fine. So if I go back to Firefox and look at something like probably this, yeah, it's where it was before. What's the problem here? This is testing. So yeah, everything seems to be working as I would expect. We're now actually deleting the base. Well, we're deleting everyone in reverse order, essentially, from the children up to the parents. But we just have to be aware that we need to. Can't I just delete that? So we're now in a position where we can look at switching the config that we're talking about, switching the current config. If we look down in main, we do this situation here, right? We essentially get the config, we sync the projects, and then we set the current project to be something, and then we initialize the neighborhood for some reason. Yeah, it probably uses the current project, doesn't it? Yeah, it locates the project using the current project. So yeah, it sort of seems like what we basically want to be doing is providing some mechanism to actually set the current project and initialize the neighborhood whenever we need to actually switch. And I think the only times that we're going to need to switch the project is when we receive an event, a file system event. So if we go to Minotaur, right, if we go to monitor file system, reset neighborhood happens there. So my contention is that what you do is, if you've determined that you've hit a HTML file, then you set the current landmark, you set the current project here, reset, init the landmark, init the neighborhood, and then reset the landmarks. So we need some information that we have available to us. We need to provide some information right here, isn't it? And it's probably in the watch handles, isn't it? So the watch handles currently contain I think they're global, aren't they? So yeah, a watch handle has a descriptor, a type, and a path. I think we just need to add a pointer to a config, a pointer to a project here. And then when we push a watch handle on, we actually push the appropriate project. Unfortunately, we don't have projects available quite yet. They're within the config. So config.c is there. And we were talking, this is on line 1194, and we were just looking at line 978. So I just need to reorganize this a little bit. Is that the way to do it, by the way? I've got an int descriptor, an enum8 watch types. I think actually you should be doing like this, strictly speaking, because it'll be a 64-bit pointer. But how do we do this again? When you've got something in the config that needs to be available higher up, I think you just pull it out, don't you? You pull it out of the config file and just stick it right up above where it needs to be. So where would be an appropriate place to put that? I guess just under the buffer IDs, just right here. Would that be right? Got the landmarks and the assets, built-in assets. Maybe actually just right here. Would that be true? Also, this doesn't need to be an enum 8. It can just be, we can just type this because it doesn't need to be a particular size. I think I just hadn't quite I think I didn't know about type diffing enums essentially. Well, that's what that was. So yeah, let's just stick the project thing up here. Actually, oh yeah, that title list, we still haven't done that, have we? So the title is just to explain. Actually, fuck it. We can come to that in a bit. Is there a note for that, actually? Let's just make sure there is a note. Yeah, there isn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter where we put this. Yeah, fully note on. I think that's all you need, isn't it? It does want the strings, which I hope is going to be available to us already. DB project index. Oh shit! Right, it wants the DB project index, and the DB project index is only going to be available around this area. Hang on a sec. Genre and numbering scheme need to come in as well. Yeah. Yeah, it's config.c just going straight after the database stuff. Now, am I correct that the only thing that the config.c actually wants is the DB project index? Right, is that why we put it after the database? Because it needs that? If so, let's just stick it before the database and pre-thingamajig it. Right. We need to have it up. There, at least, wasn't it? Yeah, unknown type DB project index. So if I just say is this legit? No. Yeah, it's actually that it wants, isn't it? Type def that. What? How did I write it? I did type def struct, did I? Unknown type name debit. Okay. Watch handles. Oh, I'll tell you what. Rather than bringing the mountain to Mohammed, let's just take the mountain to. Let's take Mohammed to the mountain. Right. What do we need? We need the project, which is going to come from the config.c. And we need the watch type, which we can just take with us. And that's all you need. So yeah, that's how you do that one. Now, is there anything else worth taking? Assets. I think an asset, are they used in the database? I don't think they are they? I think they use DB assets, although do they use landmarks? Oh, hold on a second. Where? Oh, the landmark is here. This is nothing to do with the database. Yeah, let's just take the stuff down that we need. And then when we do a push watch handle, push HTML watch handle. Now, when we do that, we want to be setting the watch handles. There's going to be some stuff in here that we need to actually set. Well, it's going to be one thing that we need to set, which is just the pointer to whoever we're talking about. So push watch handle is operating. Right, so is that the only place that's happening? Perfect. So what that means is that we're going to have the actual thing to take, right? It's the P. That's all you need to pass. So it's a pointer to that. Now, can that ever get modified, actually? I don't think it can, because once you've actually passed in the config, that's it for life. And those pointers are just going to remain valid. You know, because all of this stuff is happening after we've actually passed in the entirety of the config. So you push that on, and then in monitor file system, when you get a HTML file, all you do is you say current landmark. The current is it current project? Yeah, it's current project is equal to the watch handle is just this essentially. And then rather than reset neighborhood, you init neighborhood. And if we're not mistaken, everything that works, doesn't it? So essentially, when you do main, right, this doesn't need to happen. Well, what is this doing? Ah, right, yeah, so it actually does need to do this stuff also, doesn't it, actually? Because I think sync project actually does that, doesn't it? Yeah, it sets that current project in its neighborhood, and then it does all of this stuff, and then it goes along with syncdb with input. So let's package up this information here, because we need this exact thing to be happening in two places. Yeah, it's just this down to here. So what is this exactly? It's just like initializes the current project. Now we also do need to somehow do this, freeing of the player template. I guess we could do it in a bit of a fancy-ish way. It's not very fancy, but it'd just be like, is this P equal to the current product already? If it isn't, then we need to make sure that we actually get the correct template going in. Do you know what I mean? Because it'd be nice if we could actually use that template. Right, it'd be nice if between, I mean, it'd just be completely sensible because it's going to be actually making use of what this is even doing. If between files, it can actually use that packed template. Right, so we don't want to be like carte blanching freeing that template, is essentially what I'm saying. Wasn't there a little bit more stuff actually that was happening out here? Yeah, this thing here. So we've got an if. So what? Oh, right. So it was actually like this, wasn't it? So we were letting this happen. I think we still shouldn't be wanting this to happen. Right. Send if the lot. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this initialization of the file happens somewhere. Yeah, it happens in here. In init neighborhood. That happens in here. So yeah, let's pull this bit of information out into some sort of function. I think it probably has to take the spoke as well, doesn't it? Just double check that that's true. So this doesn't actually need to take that, so let's not make it take it. I suppose we need to straighten this as well, don't we? The templating situation. Because two projects could actually be using the same template. So that's another thing we need to sort out. But let's get this at least working a little bit. I really don't want to spell player template correctly, do I? So what's this actually doing? It's just sort of initializing. It's kind of initializing a init current project, I suppose. Set current project, right? So if the current project is not equal to the P, then we need to go into it. Bearing in mind, we also need to be able to do that thing of keeping the templates around. So the sync project will actually, it does seem like it wants to be doing this, doesn't it? But I wonder if we should just make make this just do it. Make set current project just do this up front. Right, just free all of that stuff. If it's not the current project, I think that's what you do. If it's not the same one. Does free file do anything that's untoward? It does a free buffer and a free of the path. And if I'm not mistaken, this can just effectively do nothing, can't it? Ah. If pointer is null, no operation is performed. Um, which I think could be fine for us. I think. Let's just try it. Where did I pull that from? Right, below. I mean, does that even need to check, actually? What is it doing? It is a free file. Free and then clear template metadata. That just does a clear. Shouldn't there be more stuff that's doing? Pushing a template tag. Oh, it's sorry, yeah, it's freeing the template tags, yeah. So yeah, this lot doesn't need to even check, does it? According to what we were just saying, like if the things are nulled out, that can happen safely without, you know, in the same way that we sort of figured out that you can do this without having any ill side effects. You could just free them, and if they didn't have anything set, it wouldn't do anything. Try it. Possibly it'll crash, but it's also possible it might not. So I think all this means is that I mean, it should just work, isn't it? So those guys done. Now, we haven't. I mean, we kind of have. Have we set the current directory? Current project. The current project is currently the most recent guy that was set. So basically, the last call to sync project will have just left that current project set as whatever the most recent person was, and the most recent person that it processed was Risky Book Reader. Sorry, it was, what was it? It was Risky. Okay. So before we did what we just did, the only place that this is looking for, the only place that the monitor file system is actually watching for, is that true? No, that's not true. The only place that monitor file system would correctly work for would have been the Risky directory. But if I just now try and edit a handmade hero, what's the most recent thing? Naive Melody. So this is in the hero project. Let's just see if it works. Okay, so it's reinserted that hero code thingamajig. So this project hero code found proceeding happens within that function. I think it's this, is it? Init neighborhood. Yeah, that happens here. So now, if I just go to somebody else, let's just say we want to do risky. Let's go to the most recent one. Not exactly sure what the most recent one is. So we could say, can't we? Risky 64. It's a nice number. Speech quote. Fabrication. So let's just say that roots. What happens now? Reinserted risky. Risky 0464. So it's now managed to flip to the right person. And yeah, you can see that it did that. Now, unfortunately, this happened. Right? Which I don't think we want to have happen. Right, I think we were trying to make that check actually, you know, say that from happening. So what I mean is that we should be able to see a lot of reinserted. If I just keep editing somebody in this project, risky, we should just see reinserted piling up. We shouldn't be seeing this if it's working as we want it to be working. Yeah, but we keep seeing this, which means that it's coming into init neighborhood. Yeah, that's because that's happening. Yeah, so how do we do this again? Set current project, wasn't it? So it wants to take the... Right, it takes this. And then the templates, wasn't it? Well, I mean, why not just take it all up in a memory arena? That could at least happen down there. Right, okay. Pull this up. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, rather than doing it that way, let's just take the monitor directory down. I think that's what we need. Let's take the print event with us because that's part of the monitor file system. So this needs to come after set current project. So let's try that one more time. So it's now flipped to risky. Update to check some of that. Tongs. And now we've got it reinserted without doing this, so now it's working as we want it to work. Now, I suppose the side effect of this whole situation is that the HTML directories, so these things here, where is it? The HTML dir determines the current directory, the current project rather, which kind of means, doesn't it, that the HTML dir needs to be unique per project, because otherwise you get in a tangle trying to set the wrong current project. Can I print the watch handles? There is a print watch handles there. So, does it still work? Does still exist, at least. So, after having synced the projects, let's just print the watch handles. In fact, what does that actually do? Does it show us anything useful? It prints the descriptor, the type, and the path. So yeah, the path I'm expecting to be different. So each watch handle, each HTML watch handle really needs to be, the path of each HTML watch handle needs to be different. Is essentially what I'm saying. Let's just invoke sleep for the commercial project sleep for. We didn't see that happen, did we? Oh right, yeah, the whole thing happens. I suppose it might make sense actually to print this first before this. What have we got going on here? I think we've got a bunch of -1, so I think -1 means that this directory doesn't exist. I think that's what we're saying. Apparently there's supposed to be an asset. Really? In each of these directories they reckon there's supposed to be assets, do they? I wonder who's posturing them on. Go up to 7 there, and then we got up to what's 5. So there's a 5 here that's talking about this. So yeah, interesting. So it's managed to actually see that this and this are the same thing, haven't they? Four and 4. There's 3 down here. Yeah, that's interesting. So you can determine, what is that exactly? I think it's just the PID, isn't it? Sorry, not the PID, the file descriptor. The descriptor, yeah. No, descriptor is an int. So when you push the watch handle on, the descriptor is the iNotify add watch. So what is it returning? It returns an untitled watch descriptor. It returns a unique watch descriptor for this iNotify instance. For the first I know that corresponds to the path name. So that's kind of interesting. What does that mean for us? I think what that means is that when we push a watch handle on, when we try and push a watch handle, we can actually go through all of the watch handles that are of HTML type and make sure that the descriptor for each of those people is unique. I think that's what you want to be doing. Still not exactly sure why. This is being set for an asset. CMU Story Hero. Let's have a look at the data, the config. See if we can figure it out. The assets root directory. So yeah, the assets root directory is just. What is that actually? Cinera handmade.network. Right, yeah, so construct, so it makes CSS, images, and JS. So we've got that. Where's the JS one? I mean, what this is effectively telling us is that if we modify the JavaScript file, nothing should happen because it was not monitoring it. Is that right? We were monitoring their CSS file. CSS directory. I suppose this is actually coincidentally. Hang on a minute. Yeah, this is actually getting resolved, isn't it? This directory here. I think what's happening is that these guys are actually getting resolved to be this because they're symlinks. I think that's what's happening. So if we go into this directory, or if we go into this directory here, right, because you've got the assets root directory, which is it's effectively this, right, and then we append these people onto it, like we construct the entire root directory for these three people from this part and these parts. So if we just look at this and look in the JavaScript one, we can see that everybody apart from main.js is a thing. Now main.js is only mentioned in a template, right? And the templates aren't actually being used at the moment. That's something we need to sort out. But you can see that all these people are pointing to this file, right? And this file is within this directory, which is exactly this one up here, isn't it? Yeah, so that's what's going on there. Why CSS is in there though is because we've got a Cinera._topics file which gets generated. Right, this person here. So these guys all are all symlinks to this place, and they're all within. Oh, that's where it is actually, isn't it? So Cinera. So yeah, Sorry. The Cinera__here.css file is in this directory. So that's where those guys are coming from. That's fine. Now this doesn't even exist anymore. Exist yet? Yeah, this doesn't exist yet. So that's an interesting question, actually, isn't it? If somebody actually is the initializer of the neighborhood, is that pushing watch handles? Sync project. Oh, so that happens there. So that's not part of set current project. What I'm basically driving at here is, if you run the program without these directories existing, then we're never going to be able to actually watch this directory. So when somebody actually makes a file in that thing, we actually can't know that they've made the file. That's unfortunate, isn't it? It sort of seems like if somebody configures that thing, it kind of seems, doesn't it, like we should make that directory so that we can watch it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what to do, what the policy should be there. So let's leave that as a note, should we? Well, consider whether to HTML dirs. Is that what we call it? What do we call them? HTML dir. Simply so that we can watch it. Yeah, so that's a question. And what we're actually thinking about here is making the HTML directories unique. And we're basically saying that they need to be unique because if they're not, then we can't set the current directory. We can't switch the current project reliably. Could there be a way of making it reliably switchable? I don't think they can really. I mean, we could sort of maybe say, I mean, one way we could do it is like to set a policy that file names of HTML files have to follow a certain pattern. So like this guy here, it's called Risky064, but it doesn't need to be called that. It could be called anything you want. Now, if you want to allow multiple projects, the HTML files of multiple projects to reside in the same directory, then you'd have to enforce a policy, some sort of a policy that can enable you to distinguish between the two. Right, and then you could switch to the right project. And that just feels like not what you really want to be doing. You know, you want the user to be free to just name these as they want. They don't need to care about anything that you talk about. The only policy that you would have to actually enforce is that a single project, or rather a single directory, only contains the HTML files of one project. It can contain directories, no problem, but it can't contain HTML files for multiple projects. So where do we actually make that happen? We could make it happen in the parser. Possibly. I mean, obviously we could do. You just loop through all the projects that have already been processed, or you just keep a little list of the HTML directories as you pass in the config. You just stuff the HTML dirs onto a list and just make sure that they're all unique. So you catch it early. Or we let it all come through and while we're putting the watch handles on, we actually do the test then. So when we do the watch handle, push that, I say watch handle, pulsation by watch handle, we first of all actually loop through the watch handles, making sure that this descriptor is unique. Oh, mind you, yeah, doing it that way, this thing, the minus ones aren't actually going to be unique, are they? And I mean, just also argue, like, if you don't get a watch descriptor, doesn't that just mean that these guys aren't going to be watched? Right, am I wrong about that? Risky book. So basically what I'm sort of saying is, right, if I run this, and then if I just make a directory, risky book, because that doesn't exist, I don't think, and then stuff a HTML file in it, will that get processed? Right. Oh. Yeah, good point. But yeah, if we go here, and then we go to, and if we just kind of copy in something from code to here, yeah, absolutely nothing happens. Right, this guy he just simply hasn't picked it up, because that watch descriptor couldn't exist. I think we're gonna have to somehow handle it, aren't we? Because basically what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to work towards a situation where you can just run Cinera and it just sits there running all the time. You can change the config and it'll pick up the changes in the config, and that's all you need to be talking about. You only need touch the config. You never need to like restart the program. And if that's what I want, and this is the behaviour that we're currently getting, then I think I need to do something about it. And actually, well, it's just effectively just make this directory simply so that I can watch it, I think. So I think I might actually just call it a day there and leave that as a thing to think about. Because the thing is, if we are going to be making these directories, then we could use the descriptor, right? As you do this whole thing, let's take a look at our watch handles. As we encounter this, we will make the directory and we'll get a file descriptor for it. We know that it's HTML. We know that the watch type is the HTML. Right, so we'd make that directory, get the watch handle, and then compare it against the other HTML asset watch handles to see if it's different. If it is, we continue. If it isn't, then I don't know. I mean, in some ways it's saying that the config ain't valid, isn't it? Which is kind of pushing you towards actually handling it a bit earlier. Like in the config parsing. Right? You determine that these guys aren't unique. Looking at all these guys, you determine that two of them aren't unique. So you have to just free this stuff and you have to just error, basically. I suppose the thing that I'm also conflicted about is I suppose it's just a correctness thing, really. It's like, is it more correct to be having the config parser handling this, or is it more correct to be having the person who's using the config to be handling it? Do you know what I mean? Because it's conceivable that after passing the config, these HTML DIRs could just be either unique or not unique, in which case the parser doesn't need to care whether they're unique or not. It's only the person who's using the config that actually needs to care. So I don't know. Let's leave that as a thing to do tomorrow. Consider whether to make the so we can monitor it, and also I mean it's basically just deduplicating, isn't it? Is that actually what you're doing? Deduplicating? I mean, you're basically actually enforcing unique HTML dir. It's not really deduplicating per se. I think that's it. So that'll be tomorrow's thing. So we've done a couple of hours there, have we? We've done an hour and a half. Quite a short one, really. But we've got at least a little bit of stuff done. We have got the correct removal of directories, and we figured out that the eventual parent of these people can't really get deleted because we don't know that it should get deleted. Which is unfortunate, isn't it? Well, yeah, that's just how it goes. We got that happening just by processing the children before the parents. And then we got switching the current project. So that is it for today. Thank you very much, heroes and heroines, for being here, for being beautiful and fantastic, and most of all for don't know. Thanks for monitoring. Until next time, farewell for now.